It's Monday, Patriots Day, 2005. I'm anxiously standing on a curb outside of Fenway Park. But I wasn't supposed to be here. I was supposed to be in Hopkinton that morning, lining up. Instead, I'm standing here outside of Fenway Park, waiting for a friend. She approaches, and tears sting my eyes, and emotions wash over me. Well, at that time in my life, there was a little boy, my nephew. One day, he's happily sledding down a hill with his cousins, having the time of his life, and the next day, he's diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Just like that, a game changer for sure. It was so worrisome for his parents. And then there's running. For me, running was a passion. It wasn't if I was going to run, it was when I was going to run. Probably a little bit obsessive, I was told back then. Running for me was something I needed. I needed it for clarity, solitude, and oh, let's not forget socialization. I've literally made friends on the road. My father used to say I could talk the ears off of 2 elephants, and if you've run with me, you know that I can talk to anybody who will listen, and sometimes even if they don't, I will continue, especially over the long, long miles. How did this running start? Well, it started out as leisurely walks with friends, and then it kind of got into slow jogs, and the pace quickened. It fit into my schedule. I was married to a police officer who had crazy shifts. I had 2 young children, Ian and Molly, and I was a first grade teacher. Well, before I knew it, those miles added up, and I was checking off the box for my very first 26.2 journey, which would happen in Hyannis, Mass, the Hyannis Marathon. So my husband said to me on this marathon and others, why in the world would you pay money to run 26.2 miles? Well, I have to admit it was an awful lot of work for a banana, but I loved it. Well, Hyannis Marathon was a great day for me. It was woohoo! I actually qualified for the Boston Marathon. Who would have thunk? I didn't even wear a watch. I was 2 seconds. I had 2 seconds and I did it. And I had no clue what time it was. I suppose maybe that's the way you should run. Just run. Well, there would be no story if it wasn't for coworkers. These coworkers were teachers, not just any old individual. These were unique people. I had the pleasure of getting to know them. They taught my children in the school that I volunteered for as a parent. I wasn't a teacher at the time. I marveled at the way they worked with children. They were actually the wind at my back when I decided to go back to school to become a teacher as an adult learner. My greatest reward was working alongside them. They were really like an extended family. We had a bond. I was about to find out how strong this bond was. Well, meanwhile, my nephew, he and his family have invited this potentially devastating disease of type 1 diabetes into their household, dealing with a 365, 24/7 regime. I'm an aunt. What can I do to help make a difference? Oh, remember I told you I qualified for the Boston Marathon? Well, Boston 2005 would become Brian's Run. A letter campaign ensued around my kitchen table, and we raised $5,000. My children helped me, my husband helped me, licking stamps back in the day. And we proudly delivered $5,000 to JDRF after that race. We hoped that this would continue for some years. Well, it did. Fast forward a few years, I'm happily marathoning and training. In order to qualify to run Boston, you need to qualify unless you're running for a charity. At that time, juvenile diabetes did not have a team, so I had to do this on my own, so to speak. Training, New England, not always fun. Rain, sleet, snow, barring ice, we were out there. Now, have you ever tried to drink a frozen drink that turned into slush out of a straw that came from a Camelback? Well, one day a friend and I were running 18 miles in February through Franklin, Mass, and our drinks had frozen, both of our drinks. We came upon this small shop, a store, and I said, do you think we should go in and, we'll buy some. Do you have any money? She said, I have 50 cents. This was true. We went in. Now, it was about 5 degrees, right? No problem. It was 5 degrees. And I'm not kidding, it was. We went in, and we said to the fellow, listen, we have 50 cents. Our drinks are frozen. We just need a Gatorade. We promise we'll come back and pay you. He said no. He actually said no. Now, I don't know what the problem was. What, like, were we crazy? He said, listen, ladies, it's 5 degrees out. You're totally irresponsible for doing this. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know what the big deal was. Anyway, we carried on. About that time, same time, I was a first grade teacher, and one of my little students had a dad who was a chef at a local restaurant, and he offered to do a spaghetti fundraiser for me. It was fabulous. We had clowns, we had a DJ, we had raffles, and I had one big teddy bear of a New England Patriot, Joe and Druzy, come and sign autographs for the kids. It was fabulous. Mm-hmm. My children were put to work, my husband was put to work, my co-workers came. It was really something. And my nephew stood proudly beside me all of these times. People were so generous. They were all in so that I could run the distance for a cure. I never, ever took this for granted. Then, basketball. Me, 5'2", playing basketball. But it was a February fundraiser for my school. How could I say no? It was a practice after school. Pivot right, pivot left, down, snap. I heard it, I felt it. I fell to the floor. It was February, 6 weeks to the Boston Marathon. I looked up at my coworker and I said one word. You know what it is. Marathon. She looked at me, I looked at her. First thing that flashed in my mind, but I've already raised thousands of dollars. Do I have to give it back? What can I do? How can I'm committed. I made a promise. What am I going to do? Well, someone threw me over their shoulder, drove me to the hospital. Yep, you guessed it. I had a couple of severe stress fractures in my right foot. Friends and family became my Uber to get to school. The medical gods had spoken. No use praying to the running gods now. I might have to sit this one out. I'm devastated. No, I'm twisted, just like my foot. It's going to take a guardian angel to get me out of this fix. Don't you think? Boston. So you might be thinking out there, what is the big deal? You just need to get over this. All these people are fine with you not having to run. They don't mind. It's about raising money for a cure, right? It's not about me. It's about raising money for a cure. This is the Boston Marathon we're talking about. The Boston Marathon is as you know, world-renowned race. People come from all over the world to run the Boston Marathon. There's a lot of money paid for winners for the Boston Marathon. You have to qualify for the Boston Marathon. This is Boston we're talking about. People donate to Boston. They pay attention to Boston. I've run other marathons. They don't matter. Not like Boston. You can tell I'm from Boston. So what am I supposed to do? Well, it doesn't look like I might be running the Boston Marathon, but I'm having this pasta dinner anyway. Children come, families celebrate. I'm actually using a cane now, whoop-de-doo, but it's getting close now, and I'm thinking, I'm just gonna suck it up. I can do this, right? My nephew deals with this every day of his life. It's only a day in the life for me. I can do this. Even if I have to limp, I'll be all right. Everybody's in. Mary, don't worry about it. just, you can run next year. Oh boy, but I still feel defeated. I've broken my promise. But I'm not about pity parties. After all, my example all these years has been a little boy who has courageously faced this regime day in and day out. I'm just gonna have to accept this. I'll accept the money, I'll run next year, but this is really bad. This is awful. Everybody in my family has been tortured by me during this time. Right? So, it's a week before the Boston Marathon, and teachers in where I worked in Walpole were off on Patriots Day week. So, I'm in work, and I'm pretty blue about this because I know I'm not going on Monday to Hopkinton. I'll be nowhere near that marathon. I'm not even, well, I'll watch it on TV because I'm a good sport because, you know, I'm not about pity parties, right? So they call my office and they say, come down to the teacher's room, we'd like to talk to you. What are they up to? So I go into the teacher's room and there they are. They have the Boston Marathon course map on a table and they're hovering over it. So I came in and I said, is someone telling you, is someone else running the Boston Marathon in the school? I mean, who's going? Is it a brother or a sister? Is it a parent? They're like, no, we're running it. I'm like, you're running the Boston Marathon? And they said, we're gonna do a relay for you. And I said, what? You can't do a relay for the Boston Marathon. The officials will find you. You will be in big trouble. You can't do that, it's breaking all the rules, they said. Haha, Mary. We are teachers. We teach young children. We are not afraid of anything. We're all set. We are going to be rule breakers that day. I said, oh boy. My angel, she came and she brought friends. Well, the day before the Boston Marathon, one of those angels fluttered into Boston with me to the expo, which is a really big deal when you pick up your bib number. They had it all planned. They were wearing matching running gear. They had balloons designated where they were going to be at the relay stop because, God forbid, you were only supposed to run 3 miles and you were missed and you had to carry on. They had it all figured out, and all I had to do was wait. Well, full circle, it's Monday afternoon, it's Patriots Day in 2005, and I'm anxiously waiting on a curb outside of Fenway Park. But Yorkie Way is abuzz because the game just ended. I don't know who they were playing that day. Maybe they won against the Yankees, I don't know. They were all coming down to watch the runners make their last shuffle down to the finish. I'm a spectator like everybody else, but no, I'm not just any spectator. I'm waiting for my angel. She approaches, she gives me my bib. We don't exchange one word. She folds me into a hug, thank God, because I was speechless. I took the bib, put it on my shirt, and I proudly walked the last couple of miles down to Hereford Street and a left on Boylston. And I saw the finish. I sauntered up Boylston Street and I collected the bling, the medal, to bring back to my angels who helped me fulfill my promise to run for a cure for JDRF. Now, life is like a marathon. It has its rolling hills, it has its ups and downs, and some of them leave you breathless. That day, my worlds collided, and it surely took my breath away. Thank you.